Okay, welcome everybody. So this is the first lecture of this new course on the bijective combinatorics about the bijective combinatorics and quadratic algebra. I call this unified framework the cellular ansatz. It's a new name, but putting very classical old things under the same roof, cellular ansatz. So today, we'll just give you an introduction to the course, an overview of all what I'm going to do in this about 24 hours lectures. So this course is a part of the course I'm giving since 2 years. This is part 3. There are part 1 and part 2. So I like to call this the art of bijective mathematics. Just to rephrase Knut, the art of computer programming. And each course can be followed independently. So if you did not follow part 1 and part 2, no problem. You can follow this part 3. And it's for good master student and graduate student. And sometimes I give the class at 2 levels. For professor, researcher, I give some, under the name complements. And I don't need to give proof sometimes, just to open some windows on some active research domain. So we have done 2 years ago, part 1, an introduction to enumerative, algebraic, and bijective combinatorics. So what does it mean? The enumerative combinatorics, it's enumeration, for example, a typical example is how many permutations on n elements? This is n factorial. And how many binary tree with n vertices? This is a Catalan numbers. So this reminds you 2 years ago, all the bijection objects were around this main n factorial permutation and around the Catalan word. We have done the n factorial garden, the Catalan garden, and we will see in this class again some object counted by Catalan numbers or counted enumerated by n factorial. So a more deep example is the enumeration of Young tableau. So there will be many tableaux in this class, especially Young tableau and other kind of tableau. So first, define a partition or a Ferrer diagram. A partition of n is just a sequence of integer, like 5, 3, 2, 2, which add to n. And usually partition is visualized as a Ferrer diagram. You put here, you see, you put your numbers in row 5, 3, 2, 2, the number of cells of the Ferrer diagram. And this is a visualization of a partition Ferrer diagram, or physicists call this Young diagram. So what is a Young tableau? A Young tableau is the filling of the Ferrer diagram with some integer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, until n. Each integer appears one and only once. And the integers are increasing in row from left to right, and are increasing in column from bottom to top. I use the French notation because I use the whole technique of transparencies, and all my slides in my previous life were in French notation, so I keep the French notation. Maybe I'm too old to change to the British notation. For me, it's awkward to go backward, to go down in a Ferrer diagram. So a typical enumerative problem is how many Young tableaux you can get with a given shape. You fix the shape, how many tableaux? So there is a very well-known formula called Hook-Lens formula. I will not give you now, and I call f lambda the number of such Young tableaux. Now there is a very beautiful identities about this f lambda. Just take all possible partitions for a fixed n. N equals 4. There is 5 possible Ferrer diagram, 5 possible partitions. Total number of Young tableaux in purple below, for each shape, I have a number of Young tableaux. Here the 3, 3, 2, 2. So total number of Young tableaux with n equals 4 is 10. So it's 10 Young tableaux. But if you take the sum of the square of these numbers, for each shape, take the square of the number of Young tableaux, add all these square, it's 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 4 plus 1, which give you 24. So this is very surprising. 24 is 4 factorial, a number of permutation. So you get permutation, n factorial is going to be the sum of the square of this number. You sum over all possible partitions. For each partition, there is f lambda Young tableau. Take the square of this number. And if you take the sum of all the square, you get n factorial. So this is a very beautiful identity. And usually one possible proof, this identity is the visible part of the iceberg. Below, there is some deep mathematics, deep for very classical mathematics. Below is a representation of finite groups. In fact, if you know representation of finite group, then this is kind where in algebraic combinatorics, now it's something which relate visible object like Young tableau, which relate combinatorics, enumerative combinatorics, simple object, which relate this to deep algebraic feature. So algebraic combinatorics is a mixture of combinatorics and algebraic. And here we are in a representation theory of groups. So if you know representation theory, for each group, there is irreducible representation. For the symmetry group, the irreducible representation are in bijection with partition of n. And the dimension of the irreducible representation is exactly the number of Young tableaux related to the partition lambda. If you don't know about representation theory, forget it. It's just for specialists. This is very classical result in finite group theory. And there is a very classical result which says for any finite group, then the order of the group, the number of elements of the group, is the sum of the square of the degree of the irreducible representation. So if I know this theorem, if I use it, then if I apply this to the symmetry group, I get this identity, that n factorial, the number of elements of a symmetry group, is exactly the sum of the square of the degree of the irreducible representation. Irreducible representation for symmetry group are exactly in bijection with partition, Ferrer diagram, and the degree is a number of Young tableaux of the given shape. So the square of the degree give you this f lambda the square. So just applying group theory, you get this identity, which is now at the visible level. You can explain this to any kid. A permutation, Young tableau, putting numbers in increasing order. Any kids can understand this. So the problem now is to forget completely this deep representation theory and to use a direct proof, which is in the framework of bijective combinatorics. So bijective combinatorics means that you have to find a bijection between permutation. Here it's a permutation, it is an example, permutation on 10 elements. And this permutation is going to be in bijection. There's a one-to-one correspondence with the pair PQ. The f lambda to the square, it's a pair PQ. So the condition that the two Young tableaux of the same shape, but you can choose, once you choose the shape, you can choose P and Q completely independently. And the number of such pair is going to be exactly n factorial. So there must be a direct proof. And this is a very famous Robinson-Schoenstatt correspondence, which is a bijection between permutation and pair of Young tableaux. So we will start these classes. This is the main example of the cellular ansatz. We'll put this very classical subject under the roof of the what I call cellular ansatz. And there is an extension of the Robinson-Schoenstatt correspondence to permutation with repetition of letters. So this extension is due to Knuth. So this is called the RSK, Robinson-Schoenstatt-Knuth correspondence. So usually you will see RSK everywhere. There's many papers in algebraic combinatorics using this RSK. This is very classical, very important topics. And S should be also related to the name of my beloved advisor, Schutzenberger, because he have done a lot on Schoenstatt correspondence and Plactic monoid, jeu de taquin. So we will see all this in the first chapter of the lecture. So the philosophy of bijective combinatorics is you have to prove an identity. It can be very complicated by calculus, it can be by representation theory, it can be by using some physics method, but this identity then can be deduced from a one-to-one correspondence between the left-hand side is going to be interpreted by something, the right-hand side interpreted by something else, and then there must be a bijection, a correspondence between the two sides interpreting the identity. So this is the philosophy of bijective proof, and what is useful is that it gives you a better understanding of the identity. So we have seen this kind of combinatorics. There's many facets of combinatorics: enumerative, algebraic, bijective. There is also other facets, existential combinatorics, or etc. But you see, we have in combinatorics, there is in other fields, there is many formula, many identities, and then the bijective combinatorics is to relate all this identity by some bijection, some correspondence. So it's a big jungle of identities and bijection. So in this class, in the bijective combinatorics course, I try to put some framework, some unification to see what are the main identity or what are the main things. So this, I try to do this in the first part of the class around n factorial, the n factorial garden, all bijection related to permutation, and the Catalan garden, all bijection related to Catalan numbers. And then among all this, then some fundamental lemma, or what I call bijective tool, emerge from this jungle of identities and bijection. So this kind of, I call this bijective tool, maybe it's not a good term, but an example was in the first part of the class, was about the LGV lemma. It was a basic lemma which relate the determinant and non-crossing family of paths, and many formula in combinatorics can be put in this framework. A determinant is going to be in bijection enumerated by a non-crossing coefficient of paths, and this non-crossing coefficient of paths is going to be in bijection with some combinatorial object. So this was this lemma is a basic lemma used many times, hundreds of times in many papers. The same lemma gives you many possible formula. So another bijective tool, a uniform framework, was in the last year in the part 2 of this course about the idea of heaps of pieces. This gives you also a unified framework for many things. We have seen chromatic polynomial. We have seen many different things in Coxeter group. All this under the roof of heaps of pieces. And so this year will be the same philosophy, which I could call this the cellular ansatz. So it's a new term. I don't know if it's appropriate, but it's a kind of term. And cellular ansatz is to put under the same roof many classical things. So we will start the class with a fundamental example of the RSK, the Robinson-Chestnut-Knuth correspondence. And then we will go to relation with physics, the partially asymmetric exclusion process. So this will be my second main example on the cellular ansatz. And then we will see, under the same roof, put alternating sign matrices. The 8-vertex model, tiling, many things can be put under the same framework. So I call this roof, I call it the cellular ansatz, and I will explain you what is the philosophy of this term. So the first step of the cellular ansatz, it's to certain quadratic algebra. Then I associate a Q tableau. What I call a Q tableau is some combinatorial object which are written on the two-dimensional lattice. So this is the first step. I will explain it on an example. So the example will be with this algebra. Defined, so a quadratic algebra is defined by two elements, U and D, and it's defined by the commutation relation, UD equal du plus identity. So it's just a very simple, this is the most simple Weil-Heisenberg algebra. It's well known in quantum mechanics. U and D are, U is operator creating a particle, D deleting a particle. So there is a commutation relation, UD equal du plus identity, and then this defines you a quadratic algebra. It's an algebra generated by U and D with this relation. And it is well known that if you take this commutation relation, then any word, if you take any word in U and D, then it can be expanded in a unique way as a polynomial, where all the D are on the left, all the U are on the right. So you can write as a unique way in a sum of D power I, J power J, like this. So there is a certain coefficient which depend of the word W and the index I and J. So this is very classical in physics. They call it a normal ordering. So let's give an example of this polynomial. Let's take the word UUDD. So what we are going to do, we replace the commutation relation by rewriting rule. So you do the commutation only in one way. So if you have a UD, then you can replace UD by DU. Or if you have UD, you can replace it by identity. So it means I'm going to put in the word UUDD to put all the D on the left, all the U on the right. So you can replace, you see, if I take the UD in the middle, this one, I replace UD can be replaced by DU, or UD can be replaced by identity. So you get this. And then you continue by doing this rewriting rule, so that all the D are going to be on the left, and all the U going to be on the right. So you can do this in any different way, and you can repeat, and at the end, you see, I replace the U sometime by UD, sometime by identity. At the end, I get this polynomial, where all sum of monomial in D power something, U power something. So this is a very classical normal ordering in physics. And then a particular case, if I start with a monomial U power n, D power n, then I get a summation in this monomial, and the constant term of this polynomial is n factorial. This is permutation. And I give you an idea of the proof, how to get permutation from this quadratic algebra. So we are in the framework. I have a quadratic algebra defined by U and D in a commutation relation, and I have some commutable objects which are permutation. This is a Q tableau. To the algebra Q, I associate some commutable object, which is permutation, and I will explain you the philosophy, general philosophy, to associate to certain quadratic algebra, to associate certain commutable object, which I'll call Q tableau. So why is the name cellular on that? Is that if you have this rewriting rule, so commutation are replaced by rewriting rule, and now rewriting rule, I get a planarization. So I put it on the square lattice, and you see the two U and D is replaced by DU, or is replaced by identity. So I just give you the vague idea. This is an overview of the class, so don't worry if you don't understand everything, just to give you an idea of this philosophy. So I make a planarization of the rewriting rule. And now I have introduced, you see, I have identity on the horizontal edges, identity on the horizontal vertical edges. So I am in fact introducing two more operators, vertical identity, horizontal identity. So I should also write the rewriting rule for the identity. So of course, identity multiplied by D is D times identity. And U multiplied identity is identity multiplied by U. So I have introduced this more operator, this planarization of rewriting rule with identity. What I have done, in fact, is to give an homogenization of my quadratic algebra. Homogenization means all the terms on the right have degree 2. Here everybody is degree 2, and all the terms on the right have degree 2. So this system, this new quadratic algebra with 4 generators, this is a rewriting rule, always in one way, and then planarization of rewriting rule. So I give you an idea of this planarization by taking the example of this. I start with U power, the monomial U power 5, D power 5. And then I replace, I have a UD here, so I can replace, UD you can replace by DU or replace by identity. So I choose replacing UD by DU. By the way, you see my rule here, I can put a Q analog in this, and these two different rewriting. When I do this rewriting, I will remember with the yellow square. If I do this rewriting, I will put a green square to remember which rewriting I have chosen. So here, UD equal QDU, then UD equal QDU, and now UD equal identity. So this is, I am going to do, each time this is possible choice, and you see what happened is that vertical line is identity, so now the identity is going to propagate on this row. Each time the vertical edges, brown edges, is going to propagate on this row, and to get identity here, so I continue. You see, it's so sometimes you replace by identity, sometimes you replace by Q du, sometimes you replace. So this is each time. This is a possible way to do the computation of the normal ordering, and at the end, all this possibility, if you sum all possibility, you will get this unique polynomial. So you see, I have started with U power 5, D power 5, and I'm finishing with identity everywhere on the southwest side. And this is what I call a complete Q-tableau. Complete Q-tableau means, you see, this was the homogeneous quadratic algebra with 4 generators. And there is 5 possible rewriting rules. And each of these rewriting rules I use, and I put a label on the square where I do the rewriting rule. There is this label yellow, the green label, and there is one brown edges crossing here, one brown edges crossing vertically, and 2 brown edges crossing. There is 5 labels on my cells, which correspond to the 5 possibilities of rewriting rule. And this, I call this a complete Q-tableau. All this label on the square, there is 5 possible labels. Remember which rewriting you have done, which planarization of rewriting, and this tableau contribute to the total sum in the normal ordering. And why it's the constant term is n factorial. The constant term is when you finish with identity everywhere here. And in fact, I don't need all these 5 labels. I just need this. And I can remember all the rewriting. I can reconstruct the complete Q-tableau from this. And this is a permutation, because there is only one green square in each row and each column. So this gives you proof that it's n factorial is a constant term. This is a complete Q-tableau. You can reconstruct complete Q-tableau from the permutation, but then you can forget this also. You can take only the yellow square, and this is called classically the Rothe diagram of a permutation. This is very classical in combinatorics. So you get 2 possible Q-tableaux from the complete Q-tableau, and these 2 possible Q-tableaux are in bijection with the complete Q-tableau. So this was the first step of our cellular ansatz. I have a certain family. I have the example of this quadratic algebra, which is my main example, and I associate to this quadratic algebra, I associate permutation. In general, if you start for any Ferrier diagram, any polynomial in U in D, then you will have a placement of the towers in the Ferrier diagram. But here will be the special case of permutation. So I associate to quadratic algebra a Q-tableau. There is a complete Q-tableau, and when I forget some label, I need only Q-tableau. So this is the first step, and in fact, this first step is equivalent to what I call planar automata. So don't confuse with cellular automata. So this is also a new, I introduced this term. I am surprised that no computer scientist has defined clearly what is this kind of automata. So Q-tableau is the same philosophy, it's equivalent to planar automata. I'll give you the idea. So if you know computer science, finite automaton is recognizing the word. So finite automata, there is initial state, final state, and then there is some word accepted by the finite automata. Here I have taken an example of a word. In letters are white, blue, or red, and there is some cell blue and red, and the condition of the word is the blue and red alternate. You color some cell, so it's a word in 3 letters, and if you take only the blue and red letters, they are alternating, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red. And then you can recognize the word with a finite automata. You start with an initial state. Each time you read the blue letters and you remember it was blue, so you are the next step, you cannot put any more blue, you have to put a red. When it's red, then so you have to remember what was the last letter you read. Is it blue or is it red? So in a 2-state automata, you can recognize such a word. And so this is very classical in computer science. So the philosophy of cellular ansatz is to recognize a 2-dimensional world. I mean, a diagram with some label inside the. So here is a very classical, very well-known example of the so-called alternating sign matrices. So the condition, you have a matrix, square matrix, and some of the cells of the matrix are colored in blue and red, and the condition, it's alternating in blue and red in each row, alternating in blue and red in each column, and it must start with a blue and finish with a blue. So there is at least one blue in each row in each column, but you start with a blue from left to right, you alternate blue, red, and you finish with the blue. So if there is no red color, this is permutation. There is one blue in each row in each column. So this is an extension of permutation. And you can, in fact, you can read this in the philosophy of planar rewriting. So we start with an initial state, which is the border of this Fourier diagram, and then you, as the example I showed with permutation before, there was a line going through all the diagram, and at fifth step, when you are in this southwest line, then you see you have a certain label. So here there is a certain label on these edges, certain label on these edges. So this corresponds to the state of the automata. Horizontal edges and vertical edges. You remember something? For example, in the alternating sign matrices, I remember that I read a blue or a red. I remember that I read a blue or a red. Here there is a certain label, maybe blue, maybe red, maybe something. There is a label, and then once you know the state of these edges, the label of this cell, then you rewrite it like this with a new state, A prime, a new state of the edges. So this is the philosophy of cellular automata, to recognize two-dimensional picture, the same as when you recognize a world with a finite automata. And then there is an initial state, final state when you finish, for example, with all these edges here. And so you can feel that you can recognize alternating sign matrices like this with the planar automata. So, and in fact, this is equivalent to Q tableau. And for alternating sign matrices, the Q tableau, this is a related quadratic algebra associated to alternating sign matrices. So see, in these courses, I will have some more complicated quadratic algebra, and this is a typical one with 4 generators, 4 equations, and this quadratic algebra is related to alternating sign matrices. This is a Q tableau of this quadratic algebra. So this will be at the end of the class. There is many open problems about alternating sign matrices, and so this was the first step. First step of this philosophy is to start from a certain family of quadratic algebra. Not all possible, but there is some. We have seen 2 examples with, and we associate some quadratic object I call Q tableau, which are equivalent to planar automata, recognizing a 2-dimensional picture. Then the second step is to find a cometal representation of your algebra with operator acting on some finite object. And from this representation, we get a permutation, a bijection. We get a bijection from Q tableau to something. And the main example is the RSK. The Robinson-Schoenstatt correspondence can be obtained this way. So this will be probably the first 3 lectures about reminding you the classical RSK and putting this RSK under the framework of this philosophy of cellular ansatz rewriting rule. And so all this is classical, and there is a way to define RSK by starting from this quadratic algebra. The Q tableau are permutation, and from a representation of this quadratic algebra, we can define, this is Fomin, I follow Fomin idea, we can define a correspondence, which is exactly RSK. So it's good to try to make an overview, to go above these classical things, and to understand what is the main ingredient, to try to apply the same things to other quadratic algebra. In fact, this philosophy of planar rewriting cellular automata, it's implicit in many, many papers. in particular Formin way tool. If you know Robinson-Johnson correspondence, there is a Formin way to define RSK with local rule, gross diagram. So there is a grid, there is a square lattice. If you have this cell is in a certain, there is a certain label, which can be empty or it's a point of the permutation. If you know this 3 Ferrari diagram, then you know this one. This is called local rule, gross diagram. So if you know the 3 Ferrari here, then you know this one, and you propagate this rule. So this is the way Formin can define RSK with local rule. So here we shift a little this philosophy. Instead of rewriting with the 3, knowing the 3 vertices, I just know the 2 edges here. I am in a certain label here, then I rewrite it as the 2 edges. So it's just a little shift of the way rewriting the local rule, but you will see that this may be more useful, more simple, and maybe to find some new things, just shifting a little the point of view, the very classical point of view of Formin rewriting rule. So here is a representation, the classical representation of the Weil-Heisenberg algebra defined by UD equal du plus identity. This is a way of what I call a comatal representation of this algebra. So operator U, you take a Ferrari diagram, and you take all possible way to add a new cell in the Ferrari diagram. So this is a yellow point, all position where you can a new cell to get a Ferrari diagram. And D is in the pink position, the pink square. This is all possible way to delete a cell from a Ferrari diagram and to get again a Ferrari diagram. And you take, you say, the U of this Ferrari, and you take the formal sum of all the Ferrari you get by adding a new cell. The D of this Ferrari is all possible way to delete. So you see, each time there is one more way to add than the number of ways to delete. And in fact, you can check. We will do this in the class, in chapter 1, that this comatal operator, adding and deleting a cell on the vector space generated by all possible shape, satisfy this relation. And then we will make an analysis of the gross diagram of Formin to show that, in fact, this, from the representation, there's an automatic way to define a bijection, and this bijection is exactly RSK. The philosophy is that the fact that UD equal du plus identity, you can explain it on one of the square of the lattice, and you propagate this explanation in the whole lattice, and you get RSK. You get the planarization of the... So it's difficult to explain now, but you will see there will be a whole class to show that the representation gives you the classical RSK. So we have seen enumerative combinatorics. I mentioned algebraic combinatorics. I mentioned bijective combinatorics, but there is also not physics combinatorics, or it's usually called combinatorial physics. Sometimes it's also called quantum physics, quantum combinatorics, Q combinatorics, but in combinatorial physics, that's the name given by French people. And this will be my second main example. The first main example is RSK. We'll spend 3 or 4 classes on this. The second main example comes from physics. And the physics is called the PASEP, the partially asymmetric exclusion process, or the TASEP, the totally asymmetric exclusion process. So you have a finite strip, and in this strip there is some particle moving. You see it? So the strip is fixed, and exclusion means there is at most one particle in each cell. And then it's a dynamical system. And this is a toy model in the physics of dynamical system, far from equilibrium. So there is 100 of papers on this. Every year, every day, every month, there is papers on PASEP, everything. And then combinatorics become to be very interesting in this since 10 years, because there is very beautiful combinatorics behind this PASEP. And this combinatorics, I put it again under the roof of this language cellular ansatz. So it's not a new theory, it's just a new word for to put a new word on things which are implicit in many papers. So the PASEP, in fact, it's a dynamical system. So you choose by random one of the separation, one of this vertical line. Suppose I choose by random this. And then if you can move the particle from this to this. So you can, if you can move the particle, you can here you move it with probability 1. If you choose this wall, then you can move it also with probability. No, if you choose this wall, you can move back the particle with probability q. If you choose this wall here, then you can get one particle get inside the strip with probability alpha if the cell is empty. Or if you choose this vertical line, then if there is a particle here, you can get it out of the strip with probability beta. So this is a three-parameter PASEP. You see, you can enter the strip with probability alpha, you can get out with probability beta, and you can move inside probability 1 to go on the right, probability q to go on the left. So there's three parameters, and what the physicists want is a computation of what they call the stationary probability, which means after an infinite, very long time, if you give any state, for example, full of particle, or empty, or a particle, you give a state. A state is a sequence of cell with particles, so there is 2 power n possible states if n is the length of the strip. And you have to say, what is the probability? After a long time, this is called a stationary probability. There's a unique system of stationary probability. What is the probability? And this probability can be computed by using combinatorics. There is a very beautiful interpretation using combinatorics. And the solution in physics is, they call this the matrix ansatz. This is called, why I imitate the matrix ansatz with cellular ansatz. Ansatz is like a seed. It's a way in physics, there is a Bethe, very well-known Bethe ansatz. You know, the TBA, the thermonical Bethe ansatz. And it's a kind of seeds where you can apply this. It's maybe Suresh can explain more what is ansatz. The way of ansatz in physics. In German, it's a German word which means seeds. It's it's an ingredient, an idea to get the solution of the system. Here I call cellular ansatz. It's an ingredient to get bijection. RSK can be more or less automatically. You can construct RSK once you have the quadratic algebra and the representation of the quadratic algebra. It's ansatz. And the algebra behind this, which are introduced by physicists, it's again a quadratic algebra with 2 generators E and D, satisfying this commutation relation, dE equal QED plus E plus D. And again, I can do the analog of normal ordering by taking a word, putting the rewriting rule, dE can be replaced by ED, or by E or by D. So I try to put all the D on the left, all the E on the right, and then I rewrite this, analog of the normal ordering, but there is a parameter Q here, so you can rewrite this. And then again, any words in E and D can be uniquely written as the sum of monomial in E and D, all the E on the left, all the D on the right, with a certain coefficient Q. And here the sum, instead of it's a sum of a tableau, so this is going my Q tableau, this is going to my object associated to the quadratic algebra. So T is going to be alternating tableau. So T is going to be this. What is an alternating tableau? So definition. You take a Ferrer diagram. So it's like extended Ferrer diagram means there is some column or some row maybe are empty. So here you see there is an empty column here. And the size of the Ferrer diagram is just the length of this total number of row, total number of column, plus the number of column, and maybe with empty row and empty column. So n is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is the total length of this path. And definition of alternating tableau. So you put some color in the cell, some blue, some red, with the 2 conditions. So some are blue, some are red. Then the condition, there is no color cell on the left of a blue, and there is no color cell below a red cell. Again, in the French notation. So on the left of a blue, you see there is nobody. Below a red, there is no color cell, and I call this an alternative tableau. And then I claim that any word in E and D can be written in a unique way as a sum of such monomial, where T is the sum over all alternative tableaux. with some coefficient, k, I, and j, which depend on the tableau. We will see what it is in the class. And so this is the first step of the cellular on Z. For this quadratic algebra, we associate the Q tableau with an alternative tableau. The same way that to this algebra, we are associating permutation. So now the second step is to try to do the analog of RSK. So the analog of RSK, I'm going to do a planarization, same idea, planarization of the rewriting rule. So the quadratic algebra have quadratic rule D equal ED with the coefficient scalar Q plus E plus D. So I write this in a planar way, in two-dimensional way, with some label. When I do D equal ED, when I do D equal E, or D equal D. And so I introduce again the identity operator on horizontal and vertical edges. So you see there is, again, there is 3 possible labels for this writing, and here there is 3 possible labels again. So in fact, there is 6 possible labels for the cell to remember which rewriting you have done, and I give you an example. So we start with a word in D and E. So this word in D and E is written as a path, D for horizontal step, E for vertical, and then you do all possible rewriting. This is one possible way, which is going to give you one of the possible contributions, the coefficient of certain monomial in the normal ordering. So now you see the label blue, red, yellow, or identity with some brown line give you to remember which rewriting you have done. So exactly, see, this is the same philosophy. And at the end, you see, you start with this word, and then you get here, you still have some edges. So here you have E power 3, E because there is no blue cell here. Here you have D power 1, or there should be D power 3, there is more here. And so this tableau is a contribution to the expansion of the monomial in terms of monomial E and D. In fact, I forget, I don't need all the labels, the 6 possible, I just need the label blue and red, and this gives me the alternating tableau. So just remember the alternative tableau, and this is analog of the permutation for RSK, it's the analog for this quadratic algebra. So I claim I have the coefficient, this word can be expanded like this, a summation of all these possible tableaux. And now the Q, you can say what is the coefficient of Q, is exactly the number of such a cell. The yellow cell is cell where I do the analog of the inversion of permutation. So exactly the cell which are not blue, not red, which are not on the left of a blue, which are not below a red. So the cell which remain are exactly the Q. Here, its contribution of this tableau give you Q power 2. And the problem is what is the number of such alternative tableau? No, not alternative tableau. So the number for, let's make a more simple example, for Q equals 0. So it means the TACEP, all particles move to the right. You are not allowed the particle to go left. Then such tableau with no yellow cell, Q equals 0. So it's a special class of tableau. I call this Catalan additive tableau because it's counted by Catalan numbers. So very beautiful. You see, we are back to the Catalan garden. So there will be many Catalan tableaux. There is 4 possible Catalan tableaux in the literature, all bijection with this Catalan tableau. So we'll use this in the class. Again, it's in large Catalan garden we have seen 2 years ago. And now the general case for Q general. So yes, Catalan garden. We will see bijection between this and binary tree. This will be useful for many problems related to the Tamari lattice, the Loderonko Hopf algebra. All this will be related to beautiful mathematics. And now, in the general case, what is the number of alternating tableau of size n? It's n plus 1 factorial. So alternative tableaux are in bijection with permutation. This is not obvious. We are again back to the Catalan and n factorial garden. There is an algorithm. There is different algorithms. There are many papers in literature to show that this is a permutation. So there is an algorithm I will show you in the class, which go from alternative tableau to permutation. I call this algorithm XF because it's exchange fusion algorithm. Sometimes you exchange some block, sometimes you glue them together. And this algorithm, which also it's equivalent to classical algorithm in people working on the PASEP and from a commutational point of view, this algorithm can be obtained exactly the same way as RSK, can be obtained by the representation, a commutational representation of the operator of D and E by some operator acting on some commutational object. But usually there is many analog of RSK. But usually it's always tableau with domino, some variation. It's always the philosophy of Jung, tableau of tableau. But here it's an analog of RSK, but totally different. It's no more Ferrier diagram, it's totally different. It has nothing to do, but it's the same philosophy. It's the same philosophy. I will put, it's the same framework for RSK and this exchange fusion algorithm. And the representation theory is related to Laguerre history. So this was, I have done this in the first part of the class, also the second part of the class. And we talk about Q Laguerre. So I will remind you, there is a strong relation with orthogonal polynomial theory, Q Laguerre polynomial, Laguerre history, which are enumerated by n factorial. And in fact, the inspiration for the representation comes from computer science. There is a data structure. When you add a new element in a data structure, you can delete, you can ask a question, is somebody in your file, in your data structure? So this is called dictionary data structure. There's 4 possible operators, and this will be the inspiration to get a representation of this algebra. So it's strongly related to data structure, strongly related to computer science, it's strongly related to orthogonal polynomial theory, commutational orthogonal polynomial, and Laguerre history, which are in bijection with permutation. So this will be my 2 main examples in the class, RSK and alternative tableau, coming from PASEP. And the special case Q equals 0, which gives you the TASEP and will give you Catalan tableau. So we are in the world of Catalan and n factorial. This is very familiar word, but this will increase our garden. There will be many new bijections about permutation and Catalan numbers. So see, we put everybody, RSK, this PASEP alternative tableau, under the same roof, and maybe much more. In fact, much more can be put under the same roof. Like a tiling, we will see tiling of the hexagon. This will be also, there will be a quadratic algebra, which gives you this as a Q tableau. Aztec tiling, this is very well known. We have seen this, I think, in one of the previous parts of the class, where the number of such tiling is 2 power something. So this is a deep result, very beautiful result. And we will put this as a Q tableau of a certain quadratic algebra. We have seen non-crossing configuration of paths also will be put under the same roof. And alternative matrices will be the Q tableau of this quadratic algebra with 4 generators and 4 relations. In fact, there was a big problem for combinatorists. Alternative sign matrices were defined this way. Instead of blue, alternating blue and red, it's a matrix with 0, 1, and -1, the entry. The sum in each column and each row is equal to 1. And the non-zero entry, 1 and -1, they alternate in each row, alternate in each column. So this is the same way as when I say blue and red, always 1 blue in each row, 1 blue in each column. So this is a well-known Alexandre matrices. And you see this is an extension of permutation. For the 3x3 matrices, there is 6 permutation plus the unique matrices with a -1 in the middle. So they give you 7. And there was numbers of Alexandre matrices, 1, 2, 7, 42. And there was a very, very beautiful conjecture in the 80s that the number of such matrices is exactly this. So for 10 years, all the main combinatorists have tried to solve this, to prove this formula. It was conjectured by Mills, Robbins, and Ramsey in the beginning of the 80s. So this is very deep mathematics. It was solved by Zalberger in papers of 90 pages. And then a second proof by Kuperberg using the 6-vertex model in physics. But there is no direct proof, beautiful direct proof. So I introduced maybe Taylor-Ansatz to try to get a direct proof, but I don't succeed. It's very, very difficult. It's to have another proof. So for me, it's a big problem to. And so this is a general. So at the end of the class, we will work with this. And in fact, Alter-Einstein matrices, it's a special case. All this tiling Alter-Einstein matrices and non-crossing paths is a special case of Tableau associated to what I call the 8-vertex algebra. It's related to the 8-vertex model. So there is again 4 generators, 4 equations. So everything here is embedded in this 8-vertex algebra. And then the second step of the cell around that, I don't know. I try, I have something very ugly between Alter-Einstein matrices, a pair PQ. I don't know what is P and Q, and this is very complicated. And, so I try to have, I did not succeed, to have an extension of RSK to Alter-Einstein matrices using this philosophy of putting everybody in the same roof. So we'll finish with another way. The third step of the cell around that is try to guess a representation of the symmetric algebra. Try to guess how you get the representation of the RSK with U and D adding and deleting operator. How to guess the representation of this algebra with operator adding or deleting, like in the data structure in computer science. And there is another way, which I call duplication of equation. You start from your quadratic algebra. You try to read the Q tableau in a reverse way. You get what I call a reverse quadratic algebra. And then you try to encode what the process by multiplication of the equation. So your quadratic algebra, each equation is going to be duplicated many, many times with an index appearing in the operator. And when I do that, I get immediately RSK. And you will see this is the most simple way to define RSK, is to start from the UD equal DU plus the algebra, duplicate the equation, you get RSK. You duplicate them in another way, you get the bijection between inversion table and permutation. So this is another way to define RSK. If I apply this now to my alternative tableau, I don't get the exchange fusion algorithm. I get a different bijection. And I get a pair PQ. I call this P and Q for fun because it looks like RSK. So I get for each alternative tableau, I call this the Adela of T in honor of my friend. This was in Chile when I have the inspiration for this duplication rule. And then to every alternative tableau, you get a pair PQ of 2 vectors. I don't know what it is, and we know the pair PQ is n factorial. So there is open problem to try to find a bijection between this. And now with this 8-vertex model, try to do the duplication, and maybe it can give you some new insight for in this field to find the proof of this beautiful formula. So this is the end of the overview of the class. So everything you see, we will do all this slowly. Don't worry. Today I go maybe very fast, but this is just to give you an idea of this philosophy of taking a quadratic algebra, translating it into a quadratal object, which is a tableau. Tableau is something on a square lattice with some label in the cell. And then from this quadratic algebra, find a representation in combinatorics to find some bijection, analog to RSK, analog to this bijection relative tableau, and go to new open problem. And this will be the philosophy of the class. Okay, thank you. And everything is in this new website. I am reconstructing my old website. You can go to this one, and it's in construction in progress. Thank you very much. Okay.